Get the cheese to Sickbay. The doctor should look at it as soon as possible.
Welcome back to the shipyard, and some more Get the Cheese to Sickbay. Today, we're going to continue our look at Vulcans and their upgrades. So, we're going to dive right in with elite talents. The first one, Vulcan Logic. This is a 4-point upgrade. During the roll defense dice step of the combat phase, you may discard this card to roll +2 defense dice. If you do so during the modified defense dice step, you may re-roll any number of your defense dice. This can only be purchased for Vulcan Captain on a Vulcan ship. What this card does well, +2 dice and re-rolling any dice you want for 4 points. That's a reasonable price, but it doesn't need to be a discard. By making it so limited, Vulcan Captain, Vulcan ship, if it was a disable, it would be fine, but more so, if it was time tokens, 2 time tokens, I think it would be perfectly good. If it was static effect of maybe +1 defense die and reroll, then I think that might be worth 4 points. That's a hefty cost, but it would also be a pretty good effect. It would rival Hood Riker in terms of effectiveness. Moving on, we have Decisive Action. 5 points for an action if you attack an enemy ship this round whose captain has a lower skill number than yours. During the roll attack dice step of the combat phase, you may discard this card to choose 2 of your attack dice and place them both on hit results. These dice cannot be rolled or re-rolled this round. This is a cool effect if it's not an action. And that's all it has to be. Just get rid of the action, and then passive ability, you shoot somebody with a lower skill, discard the card, set the attack dice, we're good. 5 points is still super costly. I think it's still way overpriced. This effect could work for 3 points. And it might still be a little overpriced. 2 points, probably right where it should be. But the action is definitely overkill here. Diplomacy. 5 points. Action. Discard this card to target one enemy ship within range 1 to 3. Discard all tokens from beside your ship and the target ship, except for Ox Power. Both your ship and the target ship cannot attack or be attacked this round. This card is fantastic. No need to change anything here. And now, we move on to Vatosh Katur. Also 5 points. When attacking during the roll attack dice step, you may discard this card and up to 3 of your other upgrades and or active shields. Gain +1 attack die for that attack for each upgrade or shield you discarded with this ability. And that includes Vatosh Katur. This upgrade may only be purchased for a Vulcan Captain assigned to a Vulcan ship. A card that lets you get up to 4 extra attack dice, allowing Vulcans to get to 7 dice. 8 if you throw on a Type 8 phaser. That is fantastic. Doesn't use quality at all, so you can still have battle stations, you can still have your target lock. I want to say it's overcosted at 5, but it still feels like a card I might run. Maybe I lower the cost, but that's all I want to do. It's way too good to make it anything other than a discard. This has to be a one-time effect. But it's a dang good one-time effect. Vulcan High Command. Also 5 points. Add 2 crew/tech slots to your upgrade bar. This upgrade may only be purchased for a Vulcan Captain on a Vulcan ship. If the Vulcan Captain card is ever removed from your ship, discard this upgrade, and then discard upgrades from your ship one at a time until all of your upgrades are supported by your ship's upgrade bar. This is a really expensive way to get extra slots. Really, really expensive. But it does have the advantage of not using the typical great slots. It's not crew or tech conversion for slots. I'd like to see this drop down to like a 2-point card, because it does use up your talent slot, and then you're paying your talent slot plus 1 point per slot. Is that the going rate? Seems to be more like 2 per, so maybe this should be a 3-point card. But Vulcans get a fair amount of crew slots. They get some tech slots. Since it's really limited to Vulcan captain, Vulcan ship, I say lower the cost. It works. The effect's great. Just want to be able to run it. Okay, so that's our talents. We're going to look at crew now. Our first crew is Chese. He's 2 points unique. While Chese is on your ship, none of your other upgrades can be affected by your opponents. Discard this card after it protects another upgrade card. So Chese is really good. Chese stops simultaneous effects. So like if Gen Cisco's there, if Klingon boarding party's there, Chese prevents all of your upgrades from being disabled by that effect. And then he gets disabled. But Chese is a great card for 2 points. There's nothing to fix here. And we're going to now move to Paul, who's a 3-point unique card. When defending, if you have a scan token beside your ship, you may spend that token to reroll up to 2 of your defense dice. I'd prefer this to be you may reroll up to 2 of your defense dice, forget spending the token. Federation has things that benefit from just having a scan token. I'm looking at Spock and Valtane. So why not let Vulcans have something that benefits from scan and just work? And then scan has a purpose on defense. Because Vulcans don't have the greatest captain skill, they should have something that says, oh, you took a scan and you haven't attacked yet, so now you don't have to make a choice whether you want that scan token for offense or defense. You get it for both. Yeah, because to Paul, with the effect, a 3-point card to be able to reroll 2 of my defense dice every time, because it's a win defending, that would be a great effect. But having to spend a scan token to do it, not so much. Vulcan Commandos, non-unique 3-point card. Action: if your ship is not cloaked, disable all of your remaining shields and target a ship at range 1 to 2 that is not cloaked, has no active shields. Discard this card and any number of your other Vulcan Commandos for each of your crew upgrades that you disabled with this action. Disable 1 upgrade of your choice on the target ship. And gain +1 attack die this round against that ship. This upgrade may only be purchased for a Vulcan ship. The whole point here is buy a bunch of Vulcan Commandos, discard them, disable their crew, and then roll a bunch of attack dice against them. The problem here is that Vulcan Commandos get really expensive. So what I think that they need is a nesting discount. The first one can cost 3. The next one costs 2. And any further Vulcan Commandos cost 1. And then you're just limited by your crew slots. And that would be on a per ship basis. Though now that I say that, I think Vulcan Commandos are still overpriced, and they should probably start at 2. So you have the first one cost 2, and then every other Vulcan Commando cost 1. And at that point, I think you have something viable, because they're still only going to work once the opponent's shields are down. But at least you would have a goal. You would have a reason to get their shields down, and then you go mess with them. Plus you're sacrificing them. They're not coming back. They're being discarded. That's it. They're done. So yeah. Lower the cost, nesting cost, and that's what needs to change here. Effect, great, cool, love it, done. I could see them sabotaging tech as well, but that's maybe too much to ask, but I don't know. Cov, 4 points. Action, discard this card to repair up to 2 damage to your ship's hull or shields. Doesn't need to be a discard. I understand you don't want to make it an action every time. Let's make it a time token. Let's put 2 or 3 time tokens on it. But not a discard. I want more uses out of this than 1. Especially for 4 points. You want to make it a discard? 2 points. You want to make it reusable? Keep it at 4. But I personally would pay 4 for an every other turn be able to reuse. I'd also pay 2 points for an action. Discard this card to repair up to 2 damage. So, how about both? Give me Kov and some other Vulcan engineer, and let me choose. Murok. Also 4 points. Action. Discard this card to target a ship at range 1 to 2, and roll 2 attack dice. For every hit and crit, disable 1 active shield on the target ship. If the target ship is cloaked, a hit result flips that ship's cloak token over to its red side. That doesn't do much, other than force them out of cloak at the end of the round, allow them to raise their shields, whatever. How about adding a crit, removes the cloak entirely, and allows them to raise their shields? That would be something. Force them out of cloak. That would be a really cool effect. I might pay 4 points to do that. And then hits and crits would also disable their active shields. So the crit would let them raise shields -1. Hit results would also apply there. I mean, it's 2 attack dice. The odds of that are really bad. 1 in 8, 1 in 8. So essentially 1 in 4 odds. But still, it's not going to happen. Alright, last crew, Solon. Still 4 points. Action, discard this card to repair up to 2 shield tokens. This upgrade costs +4 if purchased for any non-Vulcan ship. Same problem with Kov, except not as good because Kov lets me repair my hull and doesn't cost +4 for a non-Vulcan ship. So, at a minimum, Solon needs to cost 3 if we're just talking about a straight comparison with Kov as is. But Solon should probably be a 2-point card, repair 2 shields, no discard, and then you make Kov a 3-point card. Again, no discard, but the flexibility there of repairing 2 whole shields, no discard, with time tokens. And Solon, of course, has time tokens as well. They're so similar, it's almost overkill, but they're kind of like the Klingon version of Drexen and Garen. They can do similar things. They can both exist. I mean, Drexen and Garen do exactly the same thing. These do basically the same thing, except Kov is a superset of Solon. And that's what makes it complicated to actually price them. And a little frustrating. So, let's go to weapons. This will be quick. We've got the 1-point aft particle beam. This gets you 3 attack dice. Works at range 1 to 3. Disable the card. You can only fire the weapon from your rear firing arc. It's great to have 1-point weapons. That's what I'm going to say about that. I don't want to fix it. Then we get the 4 attack die aft particle beam. This costs 3 points. Does exactly the same thing. And I feel like for the extra die, we should only cost 1 more point. So this should be a 2-point weapon, not a 3-point weapon. Just gonna leave that there. Then we move on to photonic weapons. There's a 3-cost version and a 4-cost version. 3-cost version comes in retail packs. That's from the Dakir and the Nivar. The 4-cost version comes with the Taukir. And they are almost identical, except the Taukir has one slight difference that makes it better and maybe worth the extra point. So, both of these are attack, target lock, spend your target lock, disable the card. You can fire the weapon from your forward or rear firing arcs. Awesome. Retail, you can reroll 1 blank result. Booster, you may reroll all of your blank results. Is the difference between 1 and all blank result rerolls worth an extra point? You be the judge. I think they're both costed reasonably, especially because they give you rear firing arcs. And with 4 dice, range 2 to 3, that's pretty good. Remember, Vulcan ships have 180 forwards, 90 rears. That's a lot of coverage. You don't have a ton of blind spots. Now, granted, you have range 1 rear blind spots unless you're running an aft particle beam. But I like what's here. I don't want to fix photonic weapons. So, yeah, go with that. Okay, I know we're running long, but I just have a handful attack, and then we're out of here. Power Grid. This is 2 points. Whenever you're supposed to place an Ox Power token beside your ship, you may disable this card instead. Great, love it. Also want to see a time token version of it. Don't want to see it instead of the disable, just want to see both. Give me a disable version, give me a time token version, I'm a happy camper. We've got a 2-cost Tractor Beam. If you are attacked at range 1, you may disable this card to force the attacking ship to reroll up to 2 attack dice of your choice. That's cool. I think I'd rather see a time token version, because disable, that's a really costly action to ever re-enable. Also, it's not very thematic to what a Tractor Beam is, but okay, fine, we can forgive it. Then we've got a 1-cost Tractor Beam. If you are attacked at range 1 during the modify attack dice step of the combat phase, you may disable this card to force the attacking ship to reroll 1 of its attack dice of your choice. Again, I'd like to see time token version of that. Which one's better? I don't know. They're both reasonable. 2 is better than 1, but is 2 points better than 1 point? It depends on your build. They both have merit. Alright, now the auxiliary control room. This looks a lot like Power Grid. At any time, you may disable this card to remove 1 Ox Power token from beside your ship. So at any time really means between phases, meaning you can't take a red move and instantly remove it with the auxiliary control room, unlike Power Grid. So you're paying 1 more point to have the flexibility to remove Ox between phases, as opposed to immediately when you get it, you have to make the choice. I don't want to fix it. I like that both exist. Again, I'd like to see time token on this because it's auxiliary power. It's an auxiliary control room. That power comes back. We can deal with things. We can handle this. We don't need an action to re-enable the ability to use that. It is what it is. Power Distribution Net. This is a 5-point card. Action, disable this card and up to 3 of your active shields to immediately perform a green or white maneuver with speed equal to the number of shields you disabled with this action. This upgrade may only be purchased for Vulcan ship. No ship may be equipped with more than 1 of this upgrade. Okay, it's definitely innovative. I like it. I don't even hate that it's an action. I think what I hate is that it's 5 points. Also, that it's a disable the card. So, yeah, there's my problem. I'm fine with it being an action, but it shouldn't be an action disable. Let's get rid of the disable this card. So just action. Disable up to 3 of your active shields, and then do the effect. Because you can't do this more than once, because you can't do the same action on a card more than once per turn. And then let's lower the cost of this card down to like 3 points. That's extra maneuvers. That's a lot of options for an extra maneuver, but you're also lowering your shields. You're making yourself vulnerable. And I think that that's a reasonable card effect. As it is, nobody runs this. I don't think I've ever seen anyone run this outside of the Saleya when they ran it for points. Alright, Sensor Grid. Still 5 points. Action, discard this card to target 1 other friendly ship within range 1 to 3 of your ship. Place a scan token and an auxiliary power token beside your ship and the target ship. If you do so, every cloaked enemy ship that is within range 1 to 2 of your ship must immediately flip its cloak token over to its red side. Cool effect. Super situational, but cool effect. Here's the problem. 2 scans and 2 Ox power for an action doesn't really equate to I'm forcing you out of cloak at the end of this round and you're just going to shoot anyways. This should be a remove their cloak token and they get to raise their shields. Or they don't get to raise their shields, they just come out of cloak. Flipping cloak tokens to red doesn't solve anything. They'll just attack. Also, 5 points for this is ridiculous. 3 points? Yeah, maybe. 2 points? I'll consider it. My problem here is I don't know that my opponent is running cloaking. I can't depend on that. I need ways to adapt. And so I'm not going to spend 5 points on they might run cloaking, and if they do, I'll have some moderate effect against it. Alright. combat vessel variant. There's 2 of these. One costs 5, the other costs 6. They both add a primary weapon and a hull. They increase them by 1. This is a static effect. It's as if you're putting the combat vessel variant next to the ship, and it's got a big +1. It's like the flagship, if you guys played with that. So it changes the value, the printed value of the ship. So the 5 cost 1. In addition, add 1 weapon upgrade slot to your upgrade bar. That's cool. That's a combat vessel variant. This upgrade may only be purchased for a Surak class. No ship can have more than 1. The other one, during the activation phase, if you reveal a 4 straight, you may perform a 5 straight instead. If you do so, place an Ox power token beside your ship. So the 6 cost is all about, hey, we get to move a little faster. I guess that's indicative of combat. You get places you need to go faster. That seems fair. I think they just missed the mark here a little bit. And it's all in pricing. The 5.1 should be 4, and the 6.1 should be 5. Or 4, even. Because the 6.1, yes, you're getting an extra maneuver. You're getting maneuver flexibility, but you're adding an Ox to do it. So it's not that great. The 5.1, yeah, getting a weapon slot's cool, but you're converting a tech slot to do it. Yes, you're getting stat bonuses out of it, but you're already paying for those stats. I don't want to keep paying for slots. So 4 points for my weapon and my hull, I'm good. The fact that I'm getting a weapon out of it when I'm eating a tech, okay, I'm done there. Make the 5-1 cost 4, make the 6-1 cost 4, and I think I'm good right there. Because I love what these combat vessel variants do. I just hate paying as much as they want me to pay for them. And that makes the Surak class ships just that little bit more playable. Okay, so I know this video is going super long at this point, but I want to wrap up. I want to talk about Vulcans as a whole. I know in my first video some people mentioned, well, hey, why don't you just incorporate Vulcans into Federation along with Andorian, part of Independent, and the Zindi eventually? Well, here's the problem with doing that. It just gives Federation more toys and all the stuff, and it leads to a problem where the game isn't diverse. And then it just becomes about, oh, Federation. And then you have to buy even more stuff to make Federation work the way you want it to work. You see, right now, Vulcan is interesting the way it is, and Vulcan is very competitive if you want to play era-specific games. Zindi are certainly super good back in the Enterprise era, and Vulcans are very good in that same era. The Federation don't have a lot, because they just have the NX, and they really need NX-02. They need Columbia. Hopefully we'll get that someday. And the Klingons aren't very good because they only have the Raptor, and they need the D5. They need some other ships. And the Romulans are okay. They've got their Praetus and their Jazz Call. They also have the prototype. That makes them okay, but I don't think they can punch through an enhanced hull plating NX. Mirror's doing alright. Depends on if you call the Defiant part of that time or not. The NCC 1764 Defiant. Anyways, that's a whole different story. But Vulcans have a lot of potential, and I keep being reminded of that by Mr. Stott. They have good stuff here, and as I've gone through all their upgrades, I like a lot of their effects. I really do. The only problem I have is they cost a little bit more than I want to pay. Now, if I had to pay the cost to play those cards, if somebody said, hey, you have to play Vulcans, I'd do it. I'd make it work. I'd probably grumble a bit, but I'd play Vulcans because I have interesting effects to work with. I think I'm lacking some captains. I'd probably grumble most about captain skill. I'd also grumble about ship diversity. 2 classes of ships just hurts, and only 5 packs. That's what hurts too. I think we've gotten to the point now, aside from species, I think you need 7 packs to truly be competitive. That's what it took Zindi, and once Zindi got 7, they're like, oh yeah, now we can work with this. That's what it takes for a faction to truly feel like it's a true faction. Ferengi don't have that, and it shows. Ferengi are missing bits, but Bajorans don't have that. So yeah, it's not knocking Vulcans, it's just saying there's room to grow here. There's room for improvement, and I like the promise here. Vulcans have more access to rear-firing weapons than anything else. They have repair. They have more ways to mess with people that are interesting than just about anything else. Klingons do and the Gorn do, but that's very limited. I like the effects. They have ox mitigation. This is all good stuff. This is faction-defining stuff. This is why this faction works together. But it's not complete. So, as the doctor in this situation, I can send the Vulcans home with a fairly clean bill of health. I can tell them to trim some points, get some time tokens into their diet, go get a couple of expansions, and come see me when they've had some more work. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you for sticking with me until the end of this. I really appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you around the shipyard. Take care.